How much did you pay for your last set of tires? Think about that number for a second. $600, $800, maybe over $1,000 for a full set on a larger vehicle. Now think about the fact that those tires are wearing out at exactly twice the rate they should be. Not because of the roads, not because of how you drive, because of what is inside them and how they are being rotated. Japanese taxi fleets in Tokyo run the same set of tires for 80,000 to 100,000 miles. The industry average in the United States is 40,000 to 50,000 miles on an identical tire from the same manufacturer. Same rubber compound, same construction, same speed rating, half the life. I spent 11 years working with imported Japanese vehicles, and the question that kept coming back to me, the one I could never explain to customers, was this. Why do JDM vehicles consistently come in with tire wear profiles that make no sense for their mileage? A 2009 Corolla with 140,000 miles on what appeared to be a second set of tires. A 2006 Civic with 95,000 miles on tires that a Western tread depth gauge would classify as having another 20,000 miles of life left. The answer is not the tire. Bridgestone makes the same tire for Japan and for the United States. Yokohama makes the same tire. Toyo makes the same tire. The answer is what is inside the tire and what Japanese mechanics do to it every 5,000 miles. And both of those things are completely free. The first part of this is something Bridgestone documented in 1987 in an internal fleet study that has never been circulated in Western markets. The study tested identical tires inflated with standard compressed air versus tires inflated with pure nitrogen across a 200-vehicle fleet operating in central Tokyo over a 36-month period. The nitrogen-inflated tires lasted 31% longer. Not a marginal improvement, 31%, on identical tires, on identical roads, with identical drivers. Here is why. Standard compressed air is approximately 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% water vapor and other gases. Inside a tire at operating temperature, which regularly reaches 120 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit during normal highway driving, that oxygen and water vapor do something that nobody at the tire shop ever tells you about. They oxidize the rubber from the inside. Oxygen molecules at elevated temperature react with the rubber compounds and polymer chains that give your tire its flexibility and strength. This thermo-oxidative degradation process breaks down the rubber structure continuously from the interior outward. It does not cause immediate failure. It causes the rubber to become progressively more brittle, less elastic, and more prone to cracking under the stress of road contact. By the time you notice a tire wearing unevenly or developing sidewall cracking, the oxidation process has been running for thousands of miles. Water vapor makes it worse. Moisture inside the tire at operating temperature accelerates oxidative degradation, corrodes the steel belt structure from the inside, and causes pressure fluctuations that change the tire's contact patch with the road every time the temperature cycles, which happens on every single drive. Nitrogen eliminates both problems simultaneously. Nitrogen is an inert gas. At any temperature your tire will ever reach in normal operation, nitrogen does not react with rubber. It does not react with steel. It does not react with the polymer compounds in the tire's inner liner. A tire inflated with pure nitrogen is chemically inert on its interior surface for the entire life of the tire. Nitrogen molecules are also physically larger than oxygen molecules. They permeate through the tire's rubber structure at a significantly slower rate, meaning a nitrogen-inflated tire loses pressure approximately 3 to 4 times more slowly than an air-inflated tire under identical conditions. A tire that loses 2 psi per month with compressed air loses less than 1 psi per month with nitrogen. That pressure consistency matters more than most drivers realize. Every 1 psi of underinflation increases tire wear by approximately 0.3% and increases fuel consumption by the same amount. A tire that runs consistently 3 psi low, which is exactly what happens to air-inflated tires that are never checked between monthly intervals, is wearing 10% faster than a properly inflated tire and consuming proportionally more fuel. Over 50,000 miles, that is the equivalent of throwing away 5,000 miles of tire life you already paid for. If you have made it this far, you already understand why your tires are wearing out faster than your neighbor's identical car with different maintenance habits. Subscribe and share this with someone who just paid $800 for a set of tires that are going to wear out in 40,000 miles when 80,000 is achievable for free. Hit the bell, because what I am about to show you is the exact rotation protocol that Japanese mechanics combine with nitrogen inflation to double tire life. A protocol so simple that once you know it, you will never understand why your shop is not already doing it. But stay here, because the rotation pattern is where the second 30% of extended tire life comes from. In Japan, nitrogen inflation has been standard practice at authorized service centers since the late 1980s. Every Toyota dealer in Japan inflates tires with nitrogen as a matter of course. Every Honda, Nissan, and Mazda authorized service center does the same. The cost to the customer? Zero. It is considered basic service, included with every tire change and every rotation. In the United States, the same service costs between $30 and $50 per tire. Shops that offer it present it as a premium upgrade, and most shops do not offer it at all. Not because the equipment is unavailable, but because a customer whose tires last 80,000 miles instead of 40,000 miles is a customer who buys tires half as often. The global tire replacement market generates approximately $258 billion in annual revenue. Every additional 10,000 miles of average tire life across the global fleet represents billions of dollars in revenue that disappears from that market permanently. Bridgestone knew the nitrogen data in 1987. Michelin knew it. Goodyear knew it. Every major tire manufacturer has conducted internal studies on nitrogen inflation. The results are consistent across every study. Nitrogen extends tire life between 25% and 35%, compared to compressed air on identical tires under identical conditions. None of them have ever funded a public awareness campaign about it. Because educating you about nitrogen inflation is educating you out of buying their product twice as often. Now, the second technique. And this one requires no equipment at all. Japanese authorized mechanics rotate tires on a specific pattern and at a specific interval that is completely different from what Western service manuals recommend. The difference in outcome is documented and significant. Western service manuals typically recommend tire rotation every 7,500 to 10,000 miles in a simple front-to-rear pattern. Front tires move to the rear on the same side. Rear tires move to the front on the same side. This pattern has been standard in American service recommendations since the 1970s. Japanese authorized mechanics rotate every 5,000 miles using a full cross-pattern rotation. Every tire moves to a different axle and a different side simultaneously. Front right goes to rear left goes to front left goes to rear right goes to front left. Every position in the system. Every 5,000 miles without exception. The difference in wear distribution is measurable. Front tires on a front-wheel drive vehicle carry approximately 60% of the vehicle's total weight and absorb all steering and braking forces in addition to drive forces. They wear between 30 and 40% faster than rear tires under identical conditions. A simple front-to-rear rotation reduces this differential but does not eliminate it. The cross-pattern rotation distributes cumulative wear across all four tires equally, meaning that at any given mileage, all four tires have experienced an identical combination of drive, steering, braking, and free-rolling stress. A fleet study published by Yokohama Rubber Company's technical division in 1994 compared identical vehicles maintained on Western-style rotation schedules versus the Japanese cross-pattern rotation schedule at 5,000-mile intervals. After 60,000 miles, the Japanese schedule vehicles showed 38% more remaining tread depth on average across all four positions. The tires had not worn less. They had worn more evenly, which meant more of the total tread depth was usable at the end of the measurement period, rather than having been concentrated on two positions that reached the wear indicator, while the other two positions still had significant life remaining. Here is exactly what to do. Both techniques, starting today. For nitrogen inflation, locate a tire shop, dealership service center, or warehouse club in your area that offers nitrogen tire service. Call ahead and ask if they will purge and refill your existing tires with nitrogen. The purge and refill process, deflating the tire completely and refilling with pure nitrogen, costs between $0 and $10 per tire at most locations that offer it. Some Toyota and Honda dealerships include it free with tire service. Once inflated with nitrogen, check pressure monthly with a standard gauge and top off with nitrogen rather than compressed air whenever pressure drops below specification. A nitrogen top-off costs nothing at most service locations that offer the service. For the cross-pattern rotation, you have two options. First, ask your service center to perform a cross-pattern rotation, all four tires moving to a different axle and a different side, rather than the standard front-to-rear pattern. Most technicians know how to do this, but default to the simpler pattern unless specifically requested. Second, if you rotate your own tires, follow this pattern every 5,000 miles without exception. Front right to rear left to front left to rear right to front left. Both techniques combined require no products, no purchases, and no special equipment beyond a tire pressure gauge you likely already own. A fleet operator running 31 Toyota Camry hybrids for a corporate transportation service in Nagoya implemented both protocols across his entire fleet in 2012. Before implementation, his average tire replacement interval was 52,000 kilometers. After 3 years on the combined nitrogen and cross-rotation protocol, his average replacement interval had extended to 94,000 kilometers across the same fleet, on the same routes, with the same drivers. 94,000 versus 52,000. That is 42,000 additional kilometers of tire life, per tire, at zero additional cost. His annual tire expenditure across the 31 vehicle fleet dropped by $23,000 in the first full year of implementation. The service center he had previously used for tire replacements noticed. They called to ask if he had changed suppliers. He had not changed suppliers. He had changed protocols. The tire industry generates $258 billion in annual revenue on the assumption that you will replace your tires every 40,000 to 50,000 miles. Bridgestone's own internal data from 1987 shows that nitrogen inflation alone extends that interval to between 52,000 and 65,000 miles. Yokohama's 1994 fleet study shows that cross-pattern rotation at 5,000-mile intervals adds another 38% of usable tread depth on top of that. Combined, those two free protocols produce tire life that the industry's entire revenue model cannot afford for you to know about. Japanese authorized service centers have been doing both as standard practice for over 30 years. Your dealer charges $50 per tire for the nitrogen and has never mentioned the rotation pattern. Now you know both. For free. In the time it took to watch this video. If this changed how you think about the 4 circles of rubber your life depends on every single day, subscribe and share this right now. Every share is this information reaching someone who is about to spend $800 on tires that will last half as long as they should. Every subscription keeps this channel finding what they assumed you would never look for. The next vault opens soon. And what is inside involves the Japanese brake pad compound that authorized mechanics in Japan specify for every replacement. A friction material formulation that extends brake pad life to 80,000 miles, and that Western dealerships have replaced with a cheaper compound on the service checklist without ever telling you. If you have had brake pads replaced in the last 3 years, you need to see that before your next service appointment.